Hey, what's happening, everybody? Thursday, August 21st, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning into Loud Majority Live. Excuse me. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. JD Vance continues to show why he is the guy moving into 2028 as he completely eviscerates Gavin Newsom. Also, we are waiting for President Trump to sign some executive orders in the White House. We'll see what all that is about. We've got more information on that video I showed you guys yesterday, about the seemingly Hispanic man who was thrown to the ground very aggressively by ICE, and all of the Democrats on X got very, very upset by this. They were very, very upset. They were, this is fascism in America. No, actually, it turns out they were arresting a Mexican pedophile. Some of them had the good sense to actually delete the tweet, but some of them didn't. So we're going to laugh at some idiots today. Also, Abby Phillip over on CNN. One of the dumbest people in America. One of the dumbest people on earth decided that she was going to go on Kara Swisher's show. Kara Swisher being maybe the second or third dumbest person in America, and complain about her own guest, Scott Jennings. The only reason why anybody watches CNN in the first place. We're going to laugh at all of them as crime hits an all-time low in Washington, D.C. Spoiler alert, and this is going to be weird, in the last 7 days, no one has died. So I guess that's a step up in the goofy-ass world that we live in. But before we get started, guys, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We rock. We roll. Before we get started, guys, do me a favor and head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. Why is that so damn big? Let's make that a little bit smaller so you guys can see all the good stuff over at Loud Majority USA. There we go. Fitting in the screen. That's what I'm talking about right now. Guys, loudmajorityusa.com. You guys can check out all the good merch over there. Pick up your last minute summer essentials, baby. Or it may be hoodie season for some of you women out there, which I do not understand. But there is a good batch of good stuff. Oh, look at this bad boy. Let everybody know who's boss, guys. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com and use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. Giddy up. Let's go. Let's dive right on in because we've got some breaking news in the last couple of hours. It turns out, once again, Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Donald Trump did nothing wrong. We are now at Trump 2, Letitia James none. Trump 2, Letitia James none. Well, what the hell do I mean by that? Well, it turns out the New York State Appeals Court, which is the highest court in New York State for some reason, said that the $500 million civil fraud fine has to be thrown out. Donald Trump made $500 million today by simply doing nothing. The New York Appeals Court on Thursday threw out the massive $464 million judgment dealt to President Trump after he was found liable at a civil trial for business fraud. The appellate division, First Department, overturned the whopping fine in which Trump was found to have fraudulently inflated his net worth by billions over a decade to get a better loan. Trump would have had to pay a total of more than $500 million, including $100 million in interest. That's pretty rough. Judge Agaron, you know, that guy who wanted to be famous more than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. And you know what? Normally I wouldn't do this, but this is just one of the ugliest people I've ever seen in my life. It just is. He's just really weird-looking crypt keeper, probably has a Cub Scout or two buried under his porch. Well, it turns out that everything that was said in that trial, it was all of it was just flat out. Turns out Donald Trump never inflated his net worth. Turns out Mar-a-Lago is actually worth what he said it was worth. It turns out that all the businesses and the banks that he did business with made money and would do business with him again, which is exactly what we knew in the trial. And the left is losing their mind over this. It turns out fat-ass Letitia James has flubbed another one. out here looking like Rasputia from Norbit. How are you doing? And not doing very well is Tish James. I'm sure somewhere Michael Henry is doing the happy dance. For those of you who don't know who Michael Henry is, he's going to be on the show next week. He's the person running against Letitia James for New York Attorney General. Turns out Agaron and James, both elected Democrats, and James campaigned on the promise to investigate Trump. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime, said Letitia Trotsky, apparently. One of the judges at the appellate division called the size of the penalty troubling and questioned if the law James had used to sue Trump, which doesn't technically require someone to be harmed, had, quote, morphed into something more than it was meant to. Yes. Yes, it did. Trump's lawyers argued that the case had no victims. Deutsche Bank said they would do it again. But James' offices argued that Trump fudged his financial filings were nonetheless harmful to the marketplace as a whole, and Judge Agaron agreed. The next group of lenders to receive bogus statements might not be so lucky. So it's good to know that Tish James is on the side of big banks. Oh, yeah, that's a real winning campaign message right there. Trump had posted a bond of $175 million as he appeals the ruling and will get a chance to further challenge it in the Empire State's highest appeals court, the New York State Court of Appeals. Wouldn't it be funny if Trump then sued the state of New York? I mean, it wouldn't be funny because it'd be my tax dollars. But if he sued the state of New York and just got a ridiculously high lump sum money for all of his troubles and then bought Gracie Mansion. Because let's be honest, Trump's always wanted to buy that. He's always wanted to buy that. He said he did nothing wrong. We knew he did nothing wrong. I know it. You knew it. They knew it. They didn't care. But now the rest of the world gets to know it too. Trump 2, Rasputia 0. How you doing? So, only the legends will understand that reference. Only the legends will understand that reference. While I get a sip. So that is the breaking news of the day. We got to make sure that we talk about this preposterous case because for some reason, for no discernible reason whatsoever, it turns out that California is giving CDLs to illegal immigrants who can't speak English. And in addition to not being able to speak English, they also can't read in English. This was a tragic story the other day of an illegal immigrant trucker who killed 3 people because he failed an English language test and couldn't identify traffic signs. Really. This guy's English was so shitty, he couldn't read the word stop. I mean, it's not really like an in-depth American word. It's not like some sort of a euphemism that foreigners wouldn't understand. Not to mention, every street sign on planet Earth basically looks the same. But let's dive into this one. The Department of Transportation has revealed that Harjinder Singh, yep, saying that one wrong, an illegal immigrant truck driver has been charged with killing 3 people in a fatal crash on a Florida highway. He failed the English language proficiency test during the post-accident interview, accurately identifying just 1 of 4 highway traffic signs and answering just 2 of the 6 questions correctly. Wow. He answered 2 of the 6 correctly? He could probably, 2 of the 12 correctly. 2 of the 12 correctly. I guess that means he can get into Harvard. Sean Duffy announced in a press release on Tuesday that the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has launched an investigation into the crash. Duffy also suggested that the tragedy could have been prevented had the Democrat-run sanctuary cities complied with federal immigration law. Yeah, there's 3 people who didn't have to die. They also probably didn't have to give a CDL to a guy who can't read the word stop. Also, wait, are no U-turn signs even written? No U-turn sign. Yeah, it turns out, you ready for this? Apparently, this guy was just so skillful. He was providing such a service to the American people. America, in fact, would not survive unless this guy was in it, had a hard time reading this. There aren't even any words on it, bro. I mean, what language proficiency test would one, if I'm driving in Mozambique and I see that, I think I know what it means. I don't know. Look, maybe it's my white privilege talking here. I get it. I'm a white, straight, Christian, Protestant male, so everything's my fault, like electricity and the internet and basically everything great about modern civilization. I understand that, but I think I can read what that is. I think you should be able to read this logo. I don't know. Maybe it just is my wallet. Hold on, where's my wallet? Let's see. Hold on. I got my white privilege card here. No, I don't. Oh God, I'm sure Joy Reid will find a way to blame me. I'm sure she'll find a way to blame me for Mr. Singh not being able to read a no U-turn sign. Somehow that'll be my fault. If states, said Duffy, followed the rules, the driver would have never been behind the wheel, and 3 precious lives would still be with us. The crash was also preventable by the reckless decisions and compounding despicable failures. Non-enforcement and radical immigration policy have turned the trucking industry into a lawless frontier. A lawless frontier. I like that. Resulting in unqualified foreign drivers improperly acquiring licenses to operate 40-ton vehicles. Because, what could go wrong? I don't know if anybody's ever seen a video. I wish I could pull it up. A video of the streets of, Mumbai. But it turns out they don't really follow the no yield sign when they're mowing people down on their mopeds. Turns out in July of 23, Washington State issued Singh a regular full-time commercial driver's license, which he did not qualify for based on his immigration status. The Homeland Security Secretary said that Singh was in the country illegally and that the Trump administration rejected his work authorization in September of 2021, but then the Biden administration gave it to him in 2022. Hey guys, I don't want to be a dick, but I don't want these people in America. I don't know, maybe that makes me a bad person. But hey, guys, don't worry. Gavin Newsom has been putting out some spicy tweets recently, so I'm sure the 3 people that got mowed down underneath that semi-truck, I'm sure they feel much, much better about themselves. Democrats are also beginning to feel a lot better about themselves because yesterday there was an unbelievable, there was such a sad video. There was an Hispanic man and he got pulled over. By those fascist ICE agents. He got pulled over and he was screaming on the floor. Oh, he was screaming. It was so sad. Oh God, the humanity of it. Look at her run, andale. Oh, let's go. Yo no tengo nada, señor. Señor. Por favor. Oh, those fascist thugs. Turns out he's a Mexican pedophile. Yeah. Sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl. But yeah, he screamed on the floor that I didn't do anything wrong. He screamed on the floor that I'm not a criminal. Yep, that's the reporting. Turns out that guy, Mexican pedophile. But, you're supposed to feel bad for him. Because if he wasn't in America, we would never figure out cold fusion. Or we would never, I don't know, cure cancer. Or any of the other myriad issues that we face as a society. We would never be able to figure those out if we didn't import Mexican pedophiles who were driving without a driver's license and then take him down to the ground after he attempted to flee law enforcement. We just wouldn't be able to survive. See, right now, the Statue of Liberty is actually crying. You see, some chick carved a poem into a rock like 180 years ago, and because of that, now we have to import pedophiles from Mexico. We have to do that because we wouldn't be America if we didn't do that. Or, you know what you could try doing? You could try shutting. And many Democrats, like Jessica Tarlov, that witless wonder, Oh, the humanity of it all. Oh, God. This is America. At least she had the good sense to take the damn tweet down. But numerous other Democrats all across the X platform talked about how fascism has come to America. To be honest with you, they should have held that guy down, cut off his brajol right in the middle of the street, and then left him there. That's what I would have done because, he's a Mexican pedophile. Let's not forget that. You remember that time that he was a Mexican pedophile? Right, so they probably should have just killed him right there in the street. I don't know, All cultures are the same, right, guys? Yeah. Yeah, no, turns out not so much. Not so much. Mexican pedophile. We're going to talk about more of this in just a second because, hey, why the hell not? Before we do that, Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. Look, arresting Mexican pedophiles in D.C. can be challenging, but switching banks over to the bank that actually doesn't serve the other big banks that serves you is a lot easier. Guys. Head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. Guys, we are once again awaiting Trump signing executive orders at the White House. We're going to throw it to you live when that happens. But if you're watching on any of the other platforms, you see the title of this show. J.D. Vance is the guy in 2028. Don't call me about Peter Thiel. Don't call me about Palantir. I don't give a shit. The white trash kid from Middleton, Ohio is the guy in 2028 if he wants it. Why? Because he's you. Because he's me. Because he's every single one of us. He's every single person who got told that they were never important enough for people in Washington, D.C. to give a shit. And now we finally have one of our own at the very top. Yes, he went to Yale. Yes, he worked for Peter Thiel. He got very lucky in his life, but he also worked his ass off to get there. And J.D. Vance is proof that regular people can actually make it. J.D. Vance is proof that if you work your ass off and you're smart, and you get a little lucky in life, great things can happen. He is literally the embodiment of the American dream. And I will put my full weight behind him for president in 2028. I don't really care who else emerges over the course of the next 3.5 years. I like Mark. Oh, well, I take that back. If Lee Zeldin runs, obviously I got to do that. But I still think Lee will be the vice president. Got to make sure I throw that in there because I know you're watching. So, J.D. Vance continuing to show why he is the guy in 2028. Here was J.D. Vance on Laura Ingraham last night talking about Gavin Newsom allowing illegal immigrants to drive tractor trailers. What could possibly go wrong?
Take control of these cities. You can make them safe places to live again.
So your pal Gavin Newsom calls this an abuse of power, that this is just a power grab, and this is all stunt for show, and that you all are going to roll through other cities. You've heard things about, martial law is going to be declared.
Yep.
Into that, you say?
Well, first of all, how is it a power grab or how is it a stunt when we've already declined murders by 35% in 9 days? How many people are living and breathing today because Donald Trump had the willpower to say, you know what, we're sick of D.C. being a home to lawlessness. We're going to bring some public order back to the nation's capital. So what I would say to Gavin Newsom or to anybody else in some of these big blue states or big blue cities is you can have law and order. You can have common decency. You can have public spaces that young families can go to again. I think you a story, Laura. A couple of years ago, the last time I was in Union Station, I took my little kids there to get lunch, and they were being screamed at by homeless people, not compassionate to the homeless people to let them just fester when they clearly have mental health problems, not compassionate to young families to not be able to go into one of America's great public spaces without being screamed at by a person clearly suffering
Why are
from a
Democrats
mental
doing
illness.
this?
I don't know.
Why is this
I
a
don't
political
know.
strategy?
Laura, I have thought about this so often and so many times. I don't know why Democrats seem to love public disorder and chaos almost as a political ideology. And I think that part of what's going on is Democrats have gotten so divorced from the communities that they allegedly serve that they don't realize the gross majority of residents in D.C., they want to walk through Union Station and just have a bite to eat or enjoy the space with their families. They don't realize that so many people have been absolutely terrorized by Democrat crime policies. And so maybe they just don't make the connection between what Gavin Newsom says and the fact that places like D.C. or Los Angeles have some of the highest murder rates in the world.
And the D.C. police are being investigated for potentially manipulating
it because, of course, they've got to go out of their way to protect Democrats. But what did J.D. mean by that? What did he mean? The people whose lives have been saved. Well, it turns out over the last 7 days, not a single person has been murdered in Washington, D.C. Now, I want to make it very clear. That might be the lowest possible bar I could possibly imagine. Can you believe it? Over the course of the last 7 days, nobody was, hit with a stray bullet on their porch. Boy, we're making progress, but it turns out it's starting to work.
When the National Guard hit the ground in Washington last week, that city's crime fight went into overdrive. And now we're seeing the impact and the dramatic reductions in crime. When the National Guard rolled into Washington last week, the locals seemed skeptical.
The crime is minimal here. There's not really a lot of crime here. It looks like window dressing to me.
Now remember what I told you. If you're on the National Mall, there is no crime, which is exactly where this guy is standing.
But with the Guard on the ground, crime is on the decline. For the first time in a long time, D.C. has gone 7 days without a homicide. And that's not all. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies are down 46%. Car thefts down 21%. And overall violent crime is down 22%.
When you have these kind of numbers going down, it basically says this is a success, and that means people feel safer.
Like many big cities, Washington's police department is critically short-staffed.
People who don't feel safe aren't free.
Sergeant Betsy Smith with the National Police Association says it is ripe for federal help.
More police generally equals less crime.
Oh, holy shit. Like, this must be like what Isaac Newton felt when that apple hit him in the head and he discovered gravity. It turns out if you have more cops, less people commit crimes. Oh, whoa, Jesus Christ. Oh man. We really came with a sociological breakthrough here. Or, no shit. Turns out it's working. What a low bar we've set in the capital of the greatest city in the world, that it is considered a success that no one has been shot in the face in the last 7 days. Boy, we're really bringing standards up here. We're really, I mean, who knows? I don't know. But if they get to 10 days with no murders, 2 weeks, we could really see something out there. We could really see something. We could maybe we'll have a parade or something. We'll take all those stupid popper things that everybody seems to need at gender reveal parties, which are, by the way, if you're doing a gender reveal party, stop doing that, okay? You're just ruining everyone's day. And the guys are just inside getting drunk, okay? Just let them drink. We don't have to do the stupid popping thing or cutting the cake or all that bullshit. Just wait until the end like most people. I don't like gender reveal parties. They're absolutely awful. That's not the point. The point is that the low bar we've set, nobody killed. Things are going so well. that it turns out Donald Trump is getting ready to do a ride-along with the National Guard in D.C. tonight. Now, this is spectacular. President Donald Trump said that he will be going out tonight with the National Guard in Washington, D.C., as the president has implemented a crackdown on crime. Yes, that's right, everybody. Washington, D.C. is so safe that the president of the United States can now leave the White House. He is not trapped inside of that building. Trump was speaking on a radio host today and said that he has even heard from Democrats that the crime crackdown in Washington, D.C. has been a success, and added, I'm going out tonight, I think, with the police, with the military, of course. So we're going to do a job. The National Guard has done a fantastic job. Pam Bondi posted on X that they made 630 arrests and seized 86 illegal guns. 53 arrests were made just yesterday, plus 21 ICE arrests, and 10 guns were taken off the street. Our incredible U.S. Marshals even helped recover a missing child. We're finding kids by accident. But don't worry, guys. Don't worry. There was no crime problem in D.C. before this. Are you shitting me? I mean, look, I laugh because I don't live there, and every time I go to New York City, I have to worry about being pushed in front of the subway by some, like, schizophrenic vagrant on crystal meth. Some just, like, meth head with his roid rage out there, like the Incredible Hulk. Those people can't be killed, by the way. Crystal meth actually makes you immortal. If you've ever seen anybody on meth or smoking bath salts or whatever the hell it is they do in the panhandle of Florida, if you've ever seen anybody like that, you know that those people can't be killed. You just have to embrace and take whatever whooping you're going to get, and hopefully eventually the meth wears off. I guess they're buying it from Walter White or some shit. Turns out the Washington, D.C. Police Union touted the drop in numbers in crime as the crackdown has taken place. They posted on X on the 18th that robbery was down 46%. ADW. Assault with a deadly weapon down 6%. Carjackings down 83%. Car theft down 21%. Violent crime down 22%. Property crime down 6%. And all crime is down a total of 8%. I mean, man, I tell you what, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, they're really thinking outside the box here. It turns out that when there's a cop on the street, you're probably not going to steal someone's car. I mean, the genius in these men. Real men of genius. What the hell beer was that? What was that beer that had that commercial? Was that Miller Lite? Or, you know, for anybody over the age of 60 who remember cops actually walking a beat, swinging their little stick around, like, you know, what they do in England with those stupid hats. Turns out people don't commit crimes when they see a cop. And everyone knows this because I know none of you speed on the road. I know none of you do that, but if you did, you probably slow down when you see the cop car on the side of the road. It turns out just having people walking around is a deterrent to crime. Whoa. I can't believe it. But J.D. Vance didn't stop there with his whooping of Gavin Newsom. Obviously, we spoke about it yesterday. Gavin Newsom being the front runner in 2028 because the Democrats have nothing. They have no one. They have no bench. They have no one to speak of. Nobody who wants to step up. Nobody who wants to put their neck out on the line. So instead, they're going to nominate a guy who led to the nation's largest homeless crisis, the guy who has the state where the most businesses are fleeting, that guy who was banging his best friend's wife, you know, because, look, as I said yesterday, I'm not going to pretend that Donald Trump has had some, like, Mike Pence level of sexual purity in his life, but every real man knows mothers and wives are off limits. Here with J.D. Vance.
Don't get me here. But, look, we've had a situation where they're giving commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens who can't speak English.
Who don't have basic English competency.
And they're killing Americans,
which
as we
matters a
saw
whole
in
lot,
Florida.
because if you're going to read a road sign, Laura, you might as well, or you need to actually read the language the road sign is written in. And of course, this illegal alien in California killed 3 innocent people because he was reckless, he was dangerous, he shouldn't have been in the country. But now we come to find out he can't even read in the language the road signs are written in. So this is, again, it goes to the Democrats' basic problem, which is they're just too crazy. Imagine if you had a Democratic Party that was focused on enhancing the prosperity and the safety of American citizens rather than bringing in millions of low-wage illegal immigrants, giving them the right to vote, and allowing them to effectively make it harder for Americans to live a good life. That's all this is about. They care more about low-wage foreigners than they do about their own people. That is the fundamental craziness at the heart of the Democratic Party.
Cut that clip for the 2028 run. Democrats care more about low-wage foreigners than they do about Americans. But I'm sorry, President Vance. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Until they change that, Gavin Newsom can mimic Donald Trump all that he wants to. They're still going to lose unless they get better policies that actually serve the American people.
Given the fact that they're endangering the lives and killing American citizens, as we saw with that horrific crash in Florida.
Literally killing American
literally
citizens
killing
with their
Americans.
immigration
I mean,
policies.
these are not made-up statistics. These just happen. I mean, federal highway funds, that's leverage that the federal government has over the states that refuse to do the basics.
That's exactly
Would you
right.
consider advising that DOT and the administration pull back on federal highway funds for these states?
So I don't want to get ahead of any administration announcements, but we are looking at a whole host of points of leverage we can exercise over California and other states to make sure they comply with the law. Sanctuary cities are killing people because you allow these violent criminals to set up shop in your cities. Obviously, you saw this case with the person who murdered people on the road, 3 people on the road, because he couldn't even read the road signs. We have a lot of points of leverage here, but fundamentally, I think the American people have to stand with us here. Because when we go and tell the governor of California or the governor of New York that you have to stop putting the interests of illegal aliens over American citizens, we need the American people to stand with us. And I think that they will. I think that they are. But we're definitely not going to let this slide, Laura. You can't do it. You've got to stop putting the interests of foreigners who don't have the right to be here over the interests of American citizens. That is the entire point and purpose of the Democratic Party. If you go back to the election of 2024, what was the big issue? The big issue was illegal immigration. They were actually defending the rights of illegal immigrants to come into our country, to vote in our elections, to collect Social Security and Medicaid that ought by right go to American citizens, to say nothing of housing. This is actually the biggest driver of housing costs in some of these big blue cities, is that they've flooded the zone with illegal immigrants. As we've kicked illegal aliens out of our country, you actually see housing costs start to level off. So fundamentally, the difference between Republicans and Democrats is we care about American citizens. They actually don't like American citizens and want to replace them with low-wage foreigners. It's a very stark difference, and I think the American people are going to continue to reward us because of it.
All right.
That's my president. That's my president. That's, you know what, 48 right there, baby. 48 right there. We'll be back in 1 second with more fire from JD. Before that, Jeremy.
Hey everyone, sorry to barge in like this, but I do want to talk to you about this opportunity for 45% off of everyday dose coffee. And this isn't just your regular coffee, folks. If you're like me, you love your coffee routine. I've loved my coffee routine since I was probably 16 years old. Unfortunately, as I've gotten older, some of the coffee that I love doesn't love me back and does cause bloating, does cause jitters, can only drink so much a day, and there's really only so much I can do with it. Now, everyday dose is known as coffee plus benefits. And what I mean by that, folks, is A, there is an ingredients booklet in there that gives you a ton of different recipes on how to make cold brew coffees of all different kinds, lattes, different hot coffees, and more. But the greatest thing about Everyday Dose is it is known as coffee plus benefits, meaning that you're going to have 100% Arabica coffee, and you're going to also have lion's mane, chaga, collagen protein, and nootropics that keep your brain focused. No jitters, no heart palpitations, and a ton of different recipes. And you're going to get a frother, a tumbler, a box set with a bunch of different gifts in it, an ingredients booklet for recipes, coffee, and more for only $27, folks. 45% off by going to everydaydose.com/LFATV. That's everydaydose.com/LFATV. Why not expand your experiences with coffee? That's everydaydose.com/LFATV.
But J.D. Vance didn't stop there. J.D. Vance did not stop there. Oh, wow, yeah. I just got an interesting text message. I didn't even realize this. I just got an interesting text. Turns out I actually know somebody who got killed by an illegal immigrant. One of the best people I've ever known on planet Earth. That didn't even dawn on me in the moment. A former NYPD cop was killed on the on Ocean Parkway. Well, it's what it got to be like 10 years, got to be like 5-6 years ago now, by an illegal immigrant who had no right to be on the road or in the country in the first place. Thank you, Ma, for that text message. Where the hell is there? So they're over there. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, one of the funniest people I ever met in my life. Actually, actually threw me a beating after I got arrested one night. Pretty funny. I'll tell that story another day. But J.D. Vance didn't stop there. He was at a rally in the Peach State down in Georgia, where the devil went down some time ago, touting all of the great benefits of the big beautiful bill. And I started this rant about J.D. Vance talking about how he is one of us. He's one of us. Look, Donald Trump may be the blue-collar billionaire, but J.D. Vance is just like you. He's just like me. He's faced real-world struggle. If you haven't watched the movie, turn this off and go watch Hillbilly Elegy, and then you'll be on board for J.D. Vance in 28. Here with J.D. today, talking about how the big, beautiful bill actually helps regular people. And I want to be clear. You're going to hear from the left that all it does is help big corporations. Yeah, the big corporations that hire you so that you can do things. It turns out when everyone gets a tax cut, so do billionaires, because we don't penalize people in America for being successful. But here's J.D. Vance letting you know that your life just got a lot better because of this. Housing costs are leveling off. Groceries are going down. Energy is going down. And the cholesterol and blood pressure of people who use forehead filler are getting very, very sad.
What this law means for you is that your take-home pay is going to go up over $10,000 over the next few years. What that means is that if you're working an hour of overtime, the federal government is going to keep its money the hell out of your pocket. Because if you're working hard, the government ought to leave you alone. Ain't that the truth? To any single moms out there, any single dads, any people who work hard every single day. I had a single mom. And for a time, my mom worked at a restaurant. She waited tables, like a lot of folks out there. And you know what we did in this new law? We said that if you're working hard and you're making your income via tips, we are not going to tax tips anymore because we want to give everybody out there that's working hard for those tips a little bit of relief. And that's what the Working Families Tax Cut did. No matter where you are in this country, if you're working hard and play by the rules, you ought to have a government that stands up for you instead of fights against you. That's why we increased the child tax credit in the Working Families Tax Cut. That's why we eliminated taxes on overtime and on tips. And that's why we had the biggest tax cut for families that this country has ever seen, because we believe that you ought to keep more of your hard-earned money, and we believe that if you're busting your rear end every single day, the government ought to make it easier for you and not harder for you, and that's why we fought for that legislation.
I tell you what, that speech is a far cry from the Republican Party of old, the children are our future bullshit that we've heard from the means-tested organizations out there, the consultant class, the people who don't even speak without first asking 647 people in Michigan how they feel about it. It's just a guy out there talking. But there are some people out there. There are some people out there who don't really like that sort of talk. Who don't really like that sort of flavor. Who think that when you go directly to the people and you actually speak directly to them and you address their fears and their concerns and their problems and they give you a little bit of relief, it turns out some people think that they have to go on TV and apologize for that. And of course, that would be the unbelievably oppressed. She is oppressed in America. She is oppressed in America. Abby Phillip on CNN. Now, yes, she got to go to Harvard. Harvard, the place that wouldn't let Will Hunting in. She got to go to Harvard, so she's already starting off at the bottom rung of society. Harvard educated, Then she got a primetime cable news show. So she's oppressed. She just doesn't have the sort of privilege that I have here in America. You know, being a white, straight Christian male. She doesn't have that. She doesn't have that sort of luxury. So when she goes on TV, she feels the need to apologize for people like Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings, one of the most milquetoast Republicans in America. I mean, he's not really like a firebrand. It's not like they're having, me on or Ryan Gradusky. They tried that already. It's not like they're having those people on. So Abby Phillips said that she had to actually apologize to her audience, all 47 of them, for having Scott Jennings on, and Megyn Kelly lost her mind.
There we go. So I don't like to talk negatively about them, but she was ignorant and she embarrassed herself, and that is her right. So it's not exactly the most... I've never seen Mark Halperin do this after somebody swings by next up or two-way.
I learned that from David Brinkley. You don't speak ill of your guests after they leave, and certainly not after they've been nice enough to give you some of their time.
So she did, and she took a shot at Jillian, and then she took a shot at Scott, who makes this show worth watching, trying to find the soundbite in which she goes after him, Scott Jennings. It's top 5.
Never bringing people on to say crazy things. Let's be frank about that. That is never the intention, okay? People's decisions to say crazy things are never expected or predictable. However, I mean, and I know that folks really dislike Scott for his views, but I would say that there are views that you don't like, that you think are unfounded, but that are pretty widely shared. And I think Scott falls into that category. Now, there are definitely times, if you watch the show, that we have conversations where I will say to Scott and others, just stop. Because we're not playing whatever game it is that you want to play in this moment.
Got it, Sean? So she needs to apologize for Scott Jennings because she's heard, CNN's audience is overwhelmingly left, that people don't like him and he says crazy things. And, he's such a lunatic, it's worthwhile airing those views because they belong to MAGA.
Yeah, she's got to apologize for Scott Jennings because he goes on TV and he says these. I would give. You know what? How many people are watching this show right now? Like 30,000 people will see this. If any one of you can find a way to land me on a CNN show, I will pay you. Scour Twitter, scour the internet, find a CNN booker, and get me on CNN. I swear to God, I'll pay you. I swear, I don't have any money, but I'll go, I'll go shaking a cup if you can get me booked just on CNN, just so I can go on TV and just say some wild stuff like this.
I think the Democrats are hemorrhaging voters because they've chosen all the wrong constituencies. They seem to care more about illegal aliens than American citizens, violent criminals than law-abiding citizens, and the Palestinian flag more than the American flag.
That is not true, and that is
when you take those positions on things like that, people tend to run to the other party. And
is there one mainstream Democrat that said he likes illegal immigrants over?
And that's not necessarily
Chris Van Hollen? There's one.
He said that? Chris Van Hollen did not say that.
He went and had margaritas at my time.
He met with Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, who was brought back to the United States. The administration conceded that he was sent there wrongfully.
Yeah, he asked for one and he got one, but that wasn't good enough for the, apparently prepubescent guest that CNN decided to have. They're pulling in people off the street. It's like if you've ever said you're a Democrat, they'll have you on Abby Phillips' show. There's one Republican, and she thinks she's got to go on Kara Swisher's show and apologize for Scott Jennings. The only reason anybody watches the damn show the only reason and I mean this. I seriously mean this, guys, okay? I'm one of the people who does it. There's large X accounts out there like Libs of TikTok and Gunther Engelman and Defiant L's, and there's a lot of big accounts out there. What we will do is, and openly admit, I'll watch CNN, and I'll wait for some dipshit like that guy to say something absurd. I'll then cut the clip and repost it to Twitter. Those are the only people watching CNN. Right now, when the little ticker comes up, James Earl Jones goes, "You're watching CNN? Really?" It's like the only people who watch CNN are the people who clean the offices at CNN. And then they wonder why, like, channels like MSNBC are getting spun off with HGTV3, or, you know, that channel that shows the Antiques Roadshow. What the hell channel is that? I don't know, it pops up. Oh, like the History Channel that apparently just shows porn stars all day long? That got spun off. MS Now. I mean, later on in that episode, Megyn Kelly actually dives into their ratings. At 6 o'clock, Jake Tapper has 71,000 viewers. 71,000 viewers. Are you shitting me? More people watch Wheel of Fortune. And like a lot more. Like 10 times more people watch Ryan Seacrest teach people how to spell basic words than watch Jake Tapper. But he's a serious journalist. He's real because he wears glasses on television. They wonder why they're dying. Because many of them jump to conclusions. Many of them defend a Hispanic man getting thrown to the ground by those evil, no good, very bad ICE officers, only then to find out that he's a Mexican pedophile. You know, it turns out maybe they know what they're doing. I don't know. What a thought. But you know what? When we come back from the break, you're going to get more Scott Jennings. Here's Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com and use promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD for up to 80% of everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD. I don't think I checked in with all of you yesterday, and I don't think I checked in with you today. So, you know what? Let's pop that. What do you guys think? How's the show today? Are we having fun? Are we having fun laughing at the dithering idiots over there on CNN? Are we having fun laughing at the fact that the state of California gave a driver's license to a guy who doesn't know what this means? By the way, that same signal actually was taken down in West Hollywood because somebody said it was homophobic. I still don't know why, but it turns out that's a real sentence. That's a real thing. Antiques Roadshow was on PBS. Oh, was it on PBS? I thought it was on one of those goofy channels. Like what the hell is that? What the hell is that show with that couple that used to be divorced, or what? They're not divorced anymore. They used to be. They like fix houses and shit. I mean, how many shows do we need about real estate agents? It's like every channel. It's like every channel. Some yuppie couple from Brooklyn is buying a beach house. How many do we really need? Hey, here's a show about a bunch of people who will have something you'll never be able to afford. What does he do? Well, he's a consultant, and she's a TikTok star. So here they are buying a $1.4 million house in East Hampton that they're going to end up gutting and redoing. How many shows do we need about that? How many shows? I don't know. Not really sure. I don't even know why the hell I'm bringing that up, to be totally honest with you. Let's jump right back in. But that wasn't all for Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings had more of a fucking of a drop kick for the panel over there on CNN. As I said, Abby Phillip has to apologize for Scott Jennings, despite the fact he's the only reason anybody watches.
No denying DC's got a crime problem, but should these governors be sending troops from their states where they have crime problems to DC?
Well, I mean, if you're suggesting we call out the National Guard in these cities, I think that's a different conversation than our nation's capital, the District of Columbia, which is a federal zone. And I don't think it's theater. I think it's working. They've arrested hundreds of people. They've gotten a number of violent criminals off the street. Just last night, they arrested an illegal alien and a member of MS-13. They've gotten a lot of illegal guns off the street. Half of all the non-immigration arrests have come in DC's two most violent wards. There was some concern that they wouldn't be looking into the places where the crime is. That's not true. They actually have been. And so I have to say, with the amount of progress they've made in just these few days, if it improves a little bit in our nation's capital, that's good for every state, because every state has people that visit there all the time. You've both said they're not doing anything. The simple fact that they are there.
I didn't say all
their
of them.
Presence,
I said a majority of them.
And having more eyes and ears on the streets of Washington, D.C., a place where there is crime happening all over the city, I don't know how you could argue that that is not a good use of their time. It's our nation's capital. It is our national capital.
For crime to go down.
It is a disgrace for it to be violent.
But this is just one thing on that. Some of the crime that's being committed in D.C. is by young individuals.
Yeah, and they don't prosecute people under 25. How dumb is that?
But it gets to the point of the root problem here. We have an education problem. We have a schools problem. We have a community problem.
We have a carjacking problem. We have a murder problem.
That's not going to be addressed by having the National Guard there for many years.
So I agree with you.
So it turns out we have a carjacking problem because we have a schools problem. You see, guys, what you don't understand about this is that if you cut chemistry, the only real option you have in life is to, carjack an old lady. That's the only option you have. But some people are starting to catch on. Some people are starting to say over there on MSDNC or MS Now or the Joe Scarborough Network that apparently the crackdown on crime is starting to look like something else. It's starting to look like something. Well, what the hell could that be?
There's no doubt about this, Jonathan, that the administration, for all the criticism that it has taken, for the folks who live in D.C. who have literally physically chased law enforcement out of their neighborhoods, they believe that this is a positive for them. As Monica mentioned, J.D. Vance, Secretary Hegseth, yesterday at Union Station. Now tonight, the president deciding he's going to go out and be front and center in this crackdown. What do you make of it?
Chris, the Trump show is exhausting. What he has done to the District of Columbia, bringing in the National Guard, having Republican governors send some of their National Guard to Washington, D.C. to engage in law enforcement in a city that has dropping crime rates.
Why is the crime dropping, dumbass? And then again, it's those glasses. I don't know. I don't know what frames those are, but it's like once you put them on, you become a dithering idiot. Also, what's with the sweater underneath the jacket? It's like 95 degrees in D.C.
And you put up the headline that it looks like this crackdown on crime really looks like a crackdown on immigration. Looks like.
Oh, right. He's starting to catch on here because it turns out, do you know what is a crime? Being in America illegally.
More like an immigration enforcement action. The people of Washington, and right now, as you can tell, I am not in Washington at the moment, but I live in Washington.
You mean, wait a minute, time out, hold on a minute. Let me get this straight. So, you're standing in a beautiful park, greenery everywhere, to do your bit about how, look, Washington, D.C. is just fine, and there's nothing to see here, only to find out you're in Arlington or Silver Springs, Maryland. Go do that same segment. I don't know who that is, by the way. Go do that same segment in the 7th Ward of Washington, D.C., and see how quickly your camera equipment gets stolen, or how quickly it would have been stolen if Trump hadn't sent in the National Guard. Guys, you're supposed to be like the smart ones. You're supposed to be the ones that, like, I don't know, can discern things. You probably took the LSTAT. You know, you really studied really hard for your ACTs. You're supposed to be the brilliant people. And me, the lowly guy here that got thrown out of a high school, I'm not supposed to be able to see through your blatant bullshit. But it turns out regular people are starting to wake up to the fact that if you're on television, you're probably an unmitigated dumbass. Also, if you wear those Mark Cuban, Megan Rapinoe, Rachel Maddow, thick-framed glasses, that you don't really have any idea what the hell you're talking about. You don't really have any idea what you're talking about. I mean, hell, I had a whole thing today that I was gonna do about the European Union getting rid of all tariffs on American-made products and how that relates to the American auto industry. Because as I've said on this show numerous times, if you look in Berlin, you don't see any Fords. And if you look in Tokyo, you don't see any Chevys. But if you look in America, you see a shitload of Toyotas and Mercedes-Benz, and how that really impacts things. And a new trade deal that was struck between the 28 countries of the European Union and Donald Trump. I was going to go into all of that, but apparently we had so much fun making fun of dumb people that I've run out of time. So I guess I'll just take this last little bit of my show to say that, I don't know, what the hell should I talk about in the last couple of minutes? I don't know. You know what? So we'll just ride out the clock. We'll ride out the clock. What do we got? 30 seconds left? Guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com and pick up this phenomenal Donald Trump Jack Daniels t-shirt. Get it for your old man, because let's be honest, he's going to love it. Guys, I'll be at the Wisconsin Street Fair on Sunday. I'll be at the Ronkonkoma Street Fair the Sunday after that. Get out and register some new voters. Everybody, Pete Santilli is coming up next. Did I start that a little bit too early? I think I did. Today was a fun show. No, I didn't start it too early. Here's Pete Santilli coming up next, guys. Stay tuned. Until tomorrow, stay loud.